I gave you fair warning, beware, beware. I gave you fair warning, beware.
Welcome back to Unapologetically Candid. It's your man, Damon. Feels so good to be back. It's been a long hiatus, but I have with me a special guest. This is a man behind big acts such as Trey Songz, K. Michelle, Trevor Jackson. He's worked at Atlantic. You now find him over at Empire Distribution. I got Delante Murphy in the building. How you doing, Delonte?
I'm good, bro. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. So to start it off, first question. When's the first time you fell in love with hip-hop?
Man, I think my second cousin had lived with us for a short time, and she had moved out from us. I think I might have been about maybe 7, 8, something like that. And she left like a whole stack of records, and it was like Sugar Hill Gang and stuff like that, and 12 inches and albums. And I basically I just took the records and just put them on a record player, and I was like, what is this? Like, what is this that I'm hearing right now? And it really just floored me, and I've been in love with it ever since, I think. And it's funny because I DJ now, so when I play like Apache, it's like, you know, when I DJ or Sugar Hill Gang or Furious 5, any of that stuff, I laugh because I remember getting these box of records out of the box that was left, like she moved out. And I'm like, wow, now they still rock a party like over 25, 30 years later, right? So pretty cool. That's when I fell in love with it, though.
Okay. So where are you from originally?
I'm from the Washington, D.C. area, born in D.C., raised primarily in Oxon Hill, Maryland, which is 2 minutes outside of Southeast D.C., but we call the area the DMV.
DMV area, me
Yeah.
too, from Baltimore originally.
Oh, okay, that's what's up.
Yeah. So how'd you get started in the music industry?
That's a good question. Every time somebody asks me that, I always got to stop and pause, because the question is, like, I've always loved music since I was 5. So it's like since the age of 5, anything dealing with music, I just put myself in it. So when you ask me personally, when did you get started in it, I would say at 5, if that's even realistic, right? But my first professional gig, or my first dealing with a major company in music, would be an intern for Def Jam my freshman year at Hampton University.
Okay. So you went to Hampton, HBCU.
Yep.
So you're Hampton. So you were down there around like, what, the Teddy Riley times?
Yeah, I actually worked for Teddy for probably over 2 or 3 years. So I worked on the Blackstreet album, Another Level. That's with No Diggity, and I then worked on the Queen Pen album, and that was a great time too, man. That's the first time I've ever flown first class to the West Coast, and actually had these meetings with Jimmy Iovine, and
wow.
I was very young, man. I was like 21, maybe 22.
So what is that like? That's got to be exciting, nerve-wracking, and all that for a 21-year-old. Fly all the way over the West Coast, meet one of the biggest guys in music, Jimmy Iovine.
Man, when I first went out there was a white guy sitting on the couch when I walked in, and Jimmy was like, "Hey, what's up? That's Eminem." Eminem wasn't on then, This was at the time when I think, if you think about it, I think Blackstreet had No Diggity, had the sample, and if you remember, Tupac came out with Hit 'Em Up, I think with the same sample.
Yeah.
And from what they told me is that Tupac, back then you had these big reel-to-reel tapes. There was the masters, right? And then they would get delivered, literally like Death Row and Interscope was across from each other. So these masters would get set down at the front door, coming from Fat Axe, because you have to deliver it, And I heard that Death Row saw that it was Blackstreet, took the masters and found the sample, and that's how Hit 'Em Up came. But it was during that moment. So I think I was there right when I think Dre might have been gone already, or maybe not. Maybe he was there, kind of not there. And it was just a weird time. But, it was dope. Like, I was floored then, like, his personal chef. I'm 22. Like, what am I doing here? You know what I'm saying? Like, and, and especially in a meeting at that point, and Jimmy says, "So Delonte, what do you think?" I'm like, what do I think? Like, yeah, we're doing an album, and we're talking about marketing and promotion. Because when I was working, I first started off at Teddy as a producer that he signed, and at that time, that was my freshman year, probably my freshman year of college. So it was, so the people who were around at that point, it was me, this skinny guy named Pharrell, Chad Hugo, which is the Nerds, Bink Dog, he was there. Wow, I'm missing a couple of guys that was around. Chris Henderson was my college roommate. We produced together and we were signing Teddy together. Like, it was just all these super talented people there at the same time.
That's
like
crazy.
It was so crazy. That's how I started off with Teddy. And then later on, after we decided not to go through with the deal, years later, I became like this big party promoter with this company called Hung Low, and me and Chris Henderson, a couple other cats. And we could become so big where, you know, Puffy was coming to the parties, you know, Teddy and them would want to pull up, you know, and Jay-Z used to come before he blew up, and Jermaine and Escape when they was, you know, so everybody wanted to come to my party. So it was kind of like, I think in the Atlanta area, it would be almost the equivalent of like kind of how Alex is. But if I wouldn't just stay into party promotions, I would have owned buildings.
Okay.
But I was there for college, so it's kind of like it wasn't like an Atlanta. It's like more of a transitional area between military and college area. So it was kind of like
young people with a little bit of money getting fucked up.
Exactly. So, but it was it was like almost like a trading post, because you're up north from New York, you're coming down, you're going to stop at Howard or DC. Then if you're getting tired of that, you're going to go to Virginia Beach, Hampton area. And then after that, you might stop at A&T, but pretty much you're going to keep going to Atlanta.
If you're still alive, you might stop at A&T.
Right. Right. So, you know, it was good. You know what I'm saying? So I learned a lot. I had a ball at Hampton. DJ Envy was there too. So he was younger than me. He's DJing my parties. So me and him have a wonderful relationship. Like, it's a couple of good people. Thea Mitchum, who is one of the highest ranking people at iHeartRadio, was there. We have a great relationship. We was all at the school together, so it was a great time.
Sound like I should have been there. God damn.
Man.
So wait, how did you back it up? How'd you even meet Teddy Riley?
I originally met him by I think it was a celebrity basketball game. Young Puffy was there. Him, a couple other artists, and I took the opportunity to go pay the DJ. You know, I'm a freshman. I don't have no money. I took all the money I had, and my buddy of mine did a movie, student movie. He borrowed my video camera to do it, and we did the soundtrack. You know, just kids who want to do music, ain't got nothing to do, so we did this film, and it was pretty popular on campus, and the soundtrack was the bomb, and Chris Henderson had produced most of it, and I basically paid the DJ to play it, and it was a great record. And I was like, yo, what's up? I was like, yeah, me and my guys did this, and he heard it, and he literally listened in a gym, you know what I mean, crowded, and he was like, yo, it's dope, come see me tomorrow. And the reason I even went to Hampton was because I really didn't even want to go to him. That's the crazy part. Like, I'm from D.C., like you're from Baltimore. So for me, it was like Howard, right? I'm going to go to Howard.
Howard homecoming.
Right. But it was home. I mean, it was like, you know, musically, it was a lot of stuff going on. But I was like, I should go to Howard. And then it was a young lady that I liked, and she always was fond of her. I noticed since middle school, and she came into math class, like trigonometry or something, crying, and she was like, yo, I didn't get into Hampton. And I'm like, I know she got better grades than me. You know what I mean?
I used to cheat off of her.
Right. You know, and you had all these rumors, oh, it's like, it's Hillman, but they could, you know, and all this stuff. And so I'm like, well, shoot, you know, I ain't even going to black college tour, because I pretty much had got into Howard, and Penn State gave me a scholarship, UCLA. So I was like, well, you know what? Let me think about it. So then one Saturday morning, I'm up eating a bowl of Fruit Loops, and this special comes on about Teddy Riley building this big facility in Virginia Beach. And then I went and I asked people, how far is Virginia Beach from Hampton? It was like about 25 minutes. So I was like, shoot, he was the biggest producer in the world at that point. Mm-hmm. You know, just talking about Rump Shaker and Michael Jackson album coming off of that. I mean, he was the biggest producer in the world. So it was like, well, I want to go where the biggest producer is. So I literally never saw Hampton. I didn't go by there. I heard it was like him. I heard it had a beautiful campus. I filled out the application and got accepted, and told my mom, I want to leave. Not only do I want to leave, as soon as I graduate in June, I want to be gone. Like, I want to go to pre-college. So I literally graduated like June 6. I probably was in college by June 21st.
God damn, that's confidence right there.
Yeah. So, and that was my goal, to get to Teddy. So I got to him before my freshman year was over.
You just said, fuck a degree, I just need to get in the music
business.
Yeah,
and got that too. So we got that degree too.
Absolutely.
So had to get that.
Question. Do you think that it's important to be on the business side of the music industry with a degree, or do you think that you can navigate without it?
You know, I have two sons in college, and one of them wants to do music. And he said, Dad, why did you go to school? I said, well, let me be honest with you. I said, I went for music engineering at first, and I said, I stopped that because I was in performing arts, singing and stuff. Like I used to sing opera and all that stuff, right? And it was like when I got to college, I was retaking a lot of the classes that I had spent 4 years in performing arts high school. So I thought it was a waste of money, and they was just getting the program together, and I had a studio in my dorm room. Because I've been doing it, buying equipment since I was in high school, and it was very expensive back then. So I went to business, and I told my son that business, for me, becoming a successful manager, I think being a business major was one of the best things, because it's not like you're going to retain all this information you get in school, as we all know. It's like, but it gave me enough knowledge to know what a balance sheet should look like, and what finance should look like, and, what marketing really is, and the principles, and, all this stuff. And I think it just makes you more readily to be able to deal with stuff that's going to come. It's like The Alchemist. You ever read that book?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, that was just I feel like going to college now is like The Alchemist, and you're going to learn and make these relationships, and it's all going to make sense later. You know what I mean? So it's just like,
it's deep. I like that.
Yeah, it's like you just go through your journey, and it's like you learn stuff. Through parties, you grow as a man. People see you. It's almost like you're in a frat or fraternity just by going to this school, because we all grow up together. So, like if I need to call Envy and say, like I did for Trevor Jackson, yo, he's on this show. We got this music. I need to get on the Breakfast Club. It's like, bet, when you want to do it. Because I saw him with a green Jetta with crazy ass rims on it. You know what I mean? Now the man got Ferraris and all that. But I mean, we grew up together. So it's kind of like, from a boy to manhood thing. So it's kind of like that's the Alchemist. That's the journey. You know what I'm saying? Right. Or, the part of that journey is DJ Envy's boss is Thea Mitchell, who went to Hampton.
So.
You know what I mean? It's part of the journey. So, I think that you should go if you can afford to go. And I think it's different. Like my mom paid for my college in cash. I ain't have no loans. You know what I'm saying? So I was very blessed. Hampton right now is $40,000. God damn. You know what I mean?
See, this is why I went to a state school.
Right. That's $40,000. And, I looked at my son, and I got some money, and I was like, if you want to go to Hampton, you could go. But I'm like, geez, like I wouldn't go now if it was 40. I think when I went, it was like 9,000 to 11,000 a year. So my mother might have spent over 4 to 5. I think I was there 5 years. So she might have spent about 45 to 50 grand. You know what I'm saying? But think about that's 1 year now.
That's ridiculous.
Right? So I told my son.
That's a down payment on a house.
Exactly. And I told my son, listen, he got a scholarship to Chatham. I was like, I never heard of it. I said, let me tell you something, son. My perspective has changed. Every generation's different. You go where the scholarship is. You know what I mean? Go where the scholarship is, and know why you're there, and stay focused.
Absolutely.
So that's what my second to oldest did, and then my oldest got some scholarships as well. He goes to Old Dominion, which is right down the street, about 20 minutes from Hampton.
Okay.
So that was ironic.
So, to pick back off of what you said of staying focused, when you were out there throwing the parties, what was, given that you didn't necessarily go there for the education, you went there for networking and getting into the business, was the parties and meeting Teddy Riley and all that, did that hinder your education at all?
No, I think it was all part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was just wanting to get it. You know what I mean? So
okay.
I'm the type of guy that, it's like school was what I was supposed to do. I had a part-time job. I threw parties. I wanted to get to Teddy. It wasn't enough hours in a day for me to get it. You know what I mean?
Been
so
there.
yeah,
Still there.
Yeah. So it was just whatever we got to do to get it done, or whatever I got to do, I could rest later. And I had that energy then. You know what I mean? So it was just, what else am I doing with my life? But wasting hours partying. It's funny, I decided I didn't want to be the party person. I didn't want to go to the parties. I wanted people to give me money to go to the parties.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? I decided that really early. And
you didn't want to just attend, you wanted to run the party.
Right. The first party I went to in college, I looked at this guy named Martinez, and I saw the money he was making. I saw how he was running it, and I was like, literally the first party I went to off campus, I was like, I want to be him, and I want to take him out.
Some Game of Thrones shit.
Right.
I like it.
Just take him out. I want to take him out, and I did. with a team, and I took him out, and he gave me, I think he passed, God bless his soul, but he definitely gave me my respect, before he kind of bowed out of the area and was like, you got it, you know what I mean? So it was cool, So I think when I left, we were undefeated. I left because I left. Like, it was like I was just tired.
You retired. You
I retired.
didn't get taken out.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think that's definitely I think that's pretty accurate.
All right. So you working for Teddy Riley, you get flown out to Interscope. What next? And how do you become involved with Def Jam?
So Def Jam there was a symposium, and it was this is kind of crazy. Once again, it's The Alchemist. It was a symposium, in the communications department. I went, and there was a guy named Kevin Mitchell there, and he was speaking. He was the promotional rep for the Mid-Atlantic.
Mm-hmm.
And, instead of asking questions like all the other students, I was like, isn't it true? Because, I was the kid since 5 that was reading album covers and like, what's an A&R and who's this, and trying to connect the dots and reading the Hitman books. I still don't even understand all the concepts, but music was everything. So I knew a lot more, I think, than the students that were sitting there. So after a while, I kept just saying, isn't it true? So he was sitting there and giving out his cards like you do most of these little symposiums or things on college campuses. And I was sitting over there, and people were coming to me like, hey, you know a lot. So while he was giving somebody his number, he was like, hey, man, you want a job? And I was like, what? He's like, I want you to come work for me on your Christmas break. You're going to be where you from? It's like DC. He was like, come to my office in DC, and then you'll get started, Christmas. So I think December 1st, I was sitting in his apartment, and he handed me a whole bunch of albums and this and that, and told me what to do. And when I went back in January, I went with him a couple of DC things, and I went back in January, I was running it. So there was another intern that I met probably about 4 or 5 months later. This fat guy gets out of he was about 26 at the time. Mm-hmm. I was 19, and the fat guy gets out of I think it was like a Z with some posters falling all the place. And I was like, hey, what you doing? What's your name? He was like, my name is Kevin Lyles.
Wow. That's funny because my cousin actually went to high school with Kevin Lyles.
Right. So it was weird because he was older than me, but he was an intern just like me. Had a lot of drive, a lot of ambition.
And for people who don't know who Kevin Lyles is, he's a former president of Def Jam. He actually got started writing a song for Milli Vanilli, and then just...
Right. And he was second. We can't take it away from him. We have a lot of differences, but I think at one point he was second in command of Warner Brothers, so he was the highest ranking black official, I think, for a couple of years. Yeah. I think
that's fantastic.
Yeah.
So how was that experience working with Kevin Lyles?
Interns, we were just interns. He was in Baltimore, I was in Virginia, and then when Kevin Kevin Mitchell, they wanted me to take over to be the regional. They didn't know I was that young, and Kevin Mitchell didn't hate, and I went for an interview, and I'm sitting there in front of Russell and all the other guys, and they like, how old are you? I was like 8, about to be 19. It was like, well, how can you interview for Kevin's job as a Mid-Atlantic person, and you can't even rent a 16-passenger van. Right. It was like, how do you get in the clubs? I was like, they just let me in. It was like, I
run them.
Right. It was like, how do you get to the radio? Because, you never. So what ended up happening was they gave it to Kevin Lyles, and that was part of his alchemist and his journey. It wasn't mine. And they was like, they told him, yo, Delonte, you and him going to be president and vice president of Def Jam one day. But I think once Kevin took over, that's kind of like, when you get older, you think about it, that's kind of intimidating, right? Like, the guy that they supposed to give it to is too young. They give it to you, and then they expect you to keep this kid under you because right, and he's a monster. You know what I mean? Uh-huh. Like 20, like I was saying, updo it, everything. So that had to be intimidating. You know what I mean? Because I had DJs that were like, oh, Kevin Lyles would call and be like, yo, yeah, I need to do this. They'd be like, no, Delonte got it. Like, we cool, we get it, but Delonte got it, so just give it to him. And I think that just started. He couldn't build his relationships in that area, which was important because I was in the way.
Right.
Because they just like, we good. He took care of me.
You already got it wrapped up.
So I think that started me and his relationship going further apart for him to protect him on himself, And to my credit, to me, dealing with me, like I was a cocky, go-get-it kid. So that was a lot to deal with, too. You know what I mean? And this is your first... Think about it. He's 26. He was an intern. So he don't want nothing to mess up his situation. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that was his last leg.
Right, right. You know what I mean? And that was his alchemist. That's
you
what
almost stuck him out.
Right. That was his role to become to do what he did at Def Jam and dealing with those artists. And especially, that was Def Jam at a time where Def Jam wasn't really hot.
No, that's pretty cold.
Yeah, we were just getting Red. I helped break Redman and Onyx, and that was kind of the rebirth of Def Jam was starting to happen. So at that era, LL was still pretty much the #1 guy. Jay-Z wasn't there. Yeah, EPMD and all that. The Gold Digger, like that's when I was around. So that was that era.
Okay.
Yeah.
So while you were interning, did you work a regular 9-to-5 job? Were you just solely just?
Well, that was my freshman year. It was early on, so maybe the symposium might have been like a October if we started in September of the official freshman year. So I didn't have a job working for Def Jam all the way through that. So I survived by just dating older women with cars and be like, I need to be here, and there. So I was night seat. I had to date a 21-year-old because she can take me to the club, to make sure I was with the artist and get in and da da da.
She buy drinks.
Right. Whatever I had to do to survive.
That's a resourceful man.
Right.
I like it.
So that's how that happened.
So, given that, especially a lot of the younger generation have no clue what this position is, what does an A&R do?
Stands for artist and repertoire. I don't know. My job is to find new talent that I have 3 things for me. So A&R is supposed to find new talent. Once you find that talent, you're supposed to help get them, the right records, hit records, get their project together, whatever, blah, 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 blah. You are the ears in the streets for the record label, and the record label is supposed to depend on your ear and what you see in order to invest their money and time to be able to bring somebody to superstardom. And that's what an A&R do. I think A&R, the name, the meaning of it has changed a little bit over the years because with the internet, it's like A&Rs don't even have to be A&Rs no more because you could literally sit on the internet and find whoever's already building up a buzz just however they're doing it, and you can offer them a certain amount of money and try to catch them early and then just see what happens. That ain't what I do. I'm still old school in the fact that I think my talent in A&R or management, whatever you want to call it, is I can see a diamond in the rough. I can see a superstar underneath this. I see this coal, and I'm like, if we press it hard enough, it'll become a diamond. I think Trey was a lump of coal, but I knew he was a star. But there was so much vocal development. There was so much show development. There was so much trying to figure out what this brand is. But I knew when it was compressed that it was going to be great. And I saw K. Michelle the same way, rough around the edges.
Well, she's still rough around the edges.
She is way.
She's still very much raw.
She is. But she was even more raw then, so you can imagine. But I knew.
I don't think I can.
No, probably not. But she, I knew that she was a star and she was going to command people to listen to her, wrong, right, or indifferent. And I knew that there was a lot of women like her bothered.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In pain, not in touch with certain levels of reality.
Needing a voice.
And I knew that there was nobody really representing that. So, she deserved her shot.
Okay. So how did you even find K. Michelle?
Jive Records called me and said, first Jive Records called and was like, yo, we don't like what happened with you with Trey and at Atlantic and Kevin becoming his manager, and we don't really get involved in stuff like that over here. We do our lane and you do your lane. So we want to give you this girl that we think could be the next, Keisha Cole or Mary J. And she's had management issues and we want you to be the manager. So would you take a meeting? Then ironically, one of her old managers called me and said, I think you need to deal with this girl named K. Michelle. So after I got the second call, I think my partner, Bobby Fisher at the time, he ended up getting a call. So I was like, all right, I'll go do that. I was actually looking to manage this girl named Paula Campbell in Baltimore.
Oh.
And I was thinking about dealing with her, and I felt like something could be there. And me and her was already talking, and I had to be honest with her, and I told her, I said, I think I'm going to do this K. Michelle thing because she has a deal. And, she had just got out her deal with Neo and Sony, so I was like, I'm going to go do this. And me and her are friends to this day.
Okay.
So me and Paula are really close. So, it was what it was.
Yeah. So you said there was a situation that happened at Atlantic with Trey. One, back it up. How'd you even meet Trey Songz?
Troy, I managed Troy Taylor, right? So me and Troy was rocking. I was living in New York, and he just told me that, we had did some great business together, and he was like, there's this kid that signed through my old situation and characters and my old partner, but he should be getting out, and I think that there's something there, but I want you to meet him, and if I decide to want to take this on, I'm only going to do it if you're the manager. So he was young, like 17, so I said, all right. So I met him, skinny, brown skin, big kid with a smile, big, braids didn't even hit the back of his neck, and I was like, he just looked like the cool dude. He reminded me of the cool dude on the block that the drug dealers protected. You know, like, yo, he a pretty boy, y'all. You mess with him, you mess with me. Like that cool dude.
Oh, yeah.
That he after your girl, you can't leave him with your girl. And I was like, he's a star. You know what I mean? We just gotta figure it out. You know what I mean? But he's a star, and I think that's what his appeal is to this day. I think that's what it was. He just seemed like the cool, pretty nigga in your class that the girls like, and he just cool as hell.
Got a pack of Newports in his back pocket or something.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe maybe a blunt. Not
Maybe
a
a
Newport.
blunt.
You know what I'm saying? But
Does Trey Songz smoke weed?
no comment.
Okay, so that's
for me.
probably
I don't know if that's for me to say somebody else's business.
You heard it here first, people.
All right.
So you meet Trey Songz, young skinny kid. Where do you go from there? How do you even cultivate him as an artist ready to be signed, to be approached by Atlantic?
I think the first thing is you get the music right. So I think, Troy and him went in the basement. I told him to bring me back 5 songs that I love. I think he brought me back 10. And, doing that, it would send me records here and there, and we would talk about what's missing and this type of song. And that was my first part of really A&R. And I think, it was like, no, we need this record because he's on this and he's saying this. And we just pieced it all together. And when it was done, I had a relationship with Mike Karen because I was managing this group called the Slump Masters. They were producers in a group. They reminded me of Outkast. So they did screw mixes, and I had did one for Nappy Roots. So then Mike was like, if you got anything, let me know. So this is back when, AOL, so you couldn't send the music. You know what I mean? This is like it take
full
forever.
24 hours for that.
Right. So I sent him a CD and marked it on it. He listened to it. He called me back and said, if this kid is a star, I'm going to sign him. So Troy's wife had just got this new Sony digital camera, and I took a picture, or him or me, or somebody took a picture of Trey on the steps. I remember I was there. And then I got it, and I emailed it to him. As soon as he saw it, he was like, yo, I want to sign him. So simultaneously, once that happened, Trey's attorney had knew somebody, Brian Postel at DreamWorks, and then they told them, and then that started the bidding war between Atlantic, DreamWorks, then Jermaine Dupri offered something, then LA jumped in, I think, like the last minute at Arista, then it was Arista, and then KG jumped in, who did Jaheim, and Warner do his deal. So it was like this big hype about, oh, we got to sign this kid from Virginia. So we were very blessed.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Atlantic approaches you guys. They had the better deal.
Not necessarily.
Okay. Really?
No, I think DreamWorks had the better deal on paper. And I
Like
think
more money or?
Yeah, a lot of actually the stuff they offered us helped us get a great deal at Atlantic, but I think DreamWorks had the better deal on paper because you're talking about men who, Spielberg, Geffen, and I forgot the third guy. I mean, they did this label, but they already were super rich. So it was about, let's give back. Like, you know what I mean? Like, let's give back and don't be on people's necks.
It's a nice charity case.
Right, yeah.
Wow.
So they gave a lot of stuff, but I think that the decision came, I was talking to Troy, and I said, this is a great deal, man. But, when we in LA, this is all feng shui and, it's like, yes, everything's good. And I think the Ozzy brothers had their stuff there when they did Down Low and all that stuff. So it was, Floetry was there. And I was like, I was like, yo, bro, I come from street promotions, like, and throwing parties. Like, I just think that when you go to New York labels, it's just more of a grind, like more grit and getting it in. This looks like everybody's going to get massages, like, during the middle of the day. I was like, I just don't see this company knowing how to break this type of artist. And I feel like, first of all, I said, then we all live in New York. I was like, I think it's important for us to walk the halls every day. And, we have to fly out here and do meetings and stay.
Yeah,
I was like, I don't know if this is good for us, but it's funny because I told Trey my thoughts and Troy agreed and we rocked, and he had known Craig Cowman too. So from the chairman point of view, and Trey was like, nah, I'm going to DreamWorks.
Gotcha.
So, I mean, it was, it's funny how I had to sit there and talk to him and tell him why this is good and pray. And then he finally said, okay. And it's funny that DreamWorks shut down like a year and a half, 2 years later, right?
That was there's a bullet well dodged.
Yeah. So it's kind of weird, man. Sometimes, it taught me a theory. No matter who we are, especially artists, we need to be coached. I think that Michael Jordan won those rings, not because he was just a great player. I think he was really well coached. And I think Phil Jackson, the triangle, and I think he proved it again in L.A. He has the knack of taking.
Didn't prove it that much in the Knicks, but
no. And granted, did he coach the Knicks? No, he was just a general manager, right?
What? I can't remember.
Yeah, I don't think he ever coached the Knicks, if I'm not mistaken. I think he was but that's the thing. Maybe he's a coach and not a general manager. That's what I learned. You know what I'm saying?
Sometimes you got to stay in your own lane.
Right. Maybe he's a coach and not a general manager, and he's not good at making a deal. So you got to give credit to whoever he was at, helping him acquire the talent that he needed.
Right. It takes a village.
Right. It takes a village. I think that he had too much control. That's my opinion. I ain't never do it, but but I still think you need to be coached well. Great people are coached well. I think Quincy Jones coached Michael well.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
He made Thriller when he was 50?
Right. And he did. And he had he did Off the Wall before that, and I think he did I'm Bad after that, and then they parted ways. I think that you just got to find out, you got to look for that coach in your life, who's that coach for you. You know what I mean? And, I think that I have mentors. I think so our mentors are, they're coaches. And say, yeah, you should do this, watch this, and watch that. So I think me and Trey had a great run because I think that, we had a great relationship, and I was a great coach. And I think he's had a lot of success after me, man. I'm very proud of him being able to keep going, but it's almost like it depends on our perspective of who did we get the championship.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And that depends on the level of what we think a championship is. A championship, a Grammy, even though we don't care about a Grammy. Yeah, we all care about Grammys. You know what I'm saying?
Because you get to charge more if you get one.
Right. We want a Grammy. You know what I mean?
That's why I want an Oscar.
Right.
Because I get to charge more after the fact.
Right. You want the hardware. You want to be appreciated by your peers. You want to be iconic. You know what I'm saying? And I think that a lot of that is just great coaching. Like I think Tina Davis did a great job coaching Chris Brown. To superstardom.
Right. Now, Chris Brown and Trey came out around the same time.
Correct. Yep.
Chris Brown, light skin, haircut low, dancing all over the place.
Right.
Clearly took off quicker than Trey Songz did.
Absolutely. Chris actually opened for our tour. I put him on his first little tour run. So that's pretty cool, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Put him on.
No, I didn't put him on, but I put him on just for this tour, and that was the first time him performing, running, and doing a couple of shows with us during this singular Black College tour.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Absolutely. So, you guys see that Chris Brown is actually taking off more. Do you guys course correct the way Trey Songz is supposed to go because of it, or is there anything or you just feel like the path that you guys were on at that time was the better place to go?
I think. I think Trey was Trey and Chris was Chris. I always told Trey it would take 3 albums. And I always would tell him that, Jay-Z did it in 3, basically. Prince really blew up after the 3rd. And, I can go numerous times of people building it.
Rihanna?
Yeah. So it's like, do you want to do the slow grind where you really building a real fan base that's going to be there forever? Or longevity? Or do you want to, if you get a hit record right off the back of your first album, let's talk about how many people you don't hear of again. So I think I'd rather build you and develop and stay right in this area where people grow with you, and then it becomes this huge monstrous thing. So, but I think, was it pressure? Yeah, I think, Chris is probably 40 minutes to an hour away from where Trey grew up in Tappahannock. He was in Petersburg, 2 little, country, suburban, I don't know what to call those places. It's not a city, like a big city. And I think it's a lot of pressure, man. Like, this little kid comes over and murders you and blows up. And it took time. People think Chris blew up instantly. It took a year and something for Run It to be worked right. But let's just look at it. I mean, Trey had braids and pants was sagging, and he was more of a street image, and Chris looked more of the happy-go-lucky kid that dance and sing. And let's not get it twisted. Chris is a remarkable talent. I'm talking, if we not going singing and dancing and writing, we just go art. Let's go, acting. Yeah. Like, he is good at all that. So he was a better weapon. Yeah.
Probably shouldn't say weapon to involve Chris Brown, but
yeah. Sorry, Chris. Sorry.
He has
Chris.
a great combo.
Yeah. He's just a multi. Some people are just born like that too, man. And like I used to tell Trey, listen, man, that's cool. That's who he is. I think Jay-Z don't dance and do and act and all that. I think he just stayed focused on what he was doing and just made the right moves to make sure that it happened the way it needed to happen. So I think we stay where we are. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And
just try to try to become the better version of ourselves. And I think on Ready is when we became the better version of ourselves.
Okay.
that was the when I knew, like, yeah,
This is it.
this is it. Now I know where to go left and right. And unfortunately, he decided to go with somebody else before I could finish what I think it should have went to.
So how did that come about?
I just think, Drake, we did a song with Drake early. T Slack, who was his manager at the time, called me and said he wanted to do a record. And
That's the successful joint, right?
that was before that. It was a song called Replacement Girl.
Oh, okay.
That basically T Slack, his manager at the time, hit me on MySpace and was like, yo, I got this kid Drake. He was on Degrassi High. Da da da. At the time, we were on Trey's first album, about to go on the second, I think. And part of what I did on the first album is I let him do features all over the world, because I had a friend who works for Downtown Music Group now, and he had gave me a hint. He's the CEO of it now, but he was like, just, whatever. And he was like, yo, if I was you, I would just do features all over the world. And the problem with American features is that that a lot of times when they go to Japan or Germany and do a feature, they'll take the money, but they won't support the artists at local, come back and do a big show or the videos. So I basically was like, this is what we're going to do. So we did records with people all over the world. So when Drake came up, it was like, damn, the demo is like, he sound like Trey on the hook. He literally wrote the he sound like Trey. So I was like, dang, man, he sound like you. The dude can rap. He reminded me a little Eminem at the time. If you ever go look back at the record Replacement Girl. But I was like, he's dope. He's talented. He was going to pay us this $7,500. And he was in Canada. So technically that's in another country.
Hey.
So it fit with the plan.
Hitting all the quotas.
Yeah. So that's how Drake got on. So imagine you got Chris Brown. Then you put Drake on it. You get on the record with Drake early. Drake is running around behind us everywhere. You know what I mean? Like, cool. He actually asked me to be his manager, and I told him no because his manager didn't do anything wrong. Yeah, his manager did everything right. So I was trying to be. Back then, it was honor amongst managers. It was like it wasn't like he came to me and said, "Oh, my manager stole some money from me," or he wasn't getting it done. I'm like, your manager called me, and you got an artist signed to a major label with an album out that you got on a feature. What is your manager doing wrong? Like, you know what I mean? This is before it was double management. It wasn't G and hip hop, and it was just single managers. Like, that was the code. So I followed the code in honor. And
do you regret it?
Hell yeah. And T Slack is my man. T Slack did an interview and he was like, nah. He was like, Drake wanted Delonte to be his manager. And he's now at Atlantic, and he now just got a job and got Redemption and got an A&R job at Atlantic. And he said in an interview, he was like, no, he wanted Delonte to be his manager. So it's kind of cool, right? Like,
it's a nice shout out.
Yeah, but it's cool. But I think for me and Trey, if you think about Chris blowing up and then Drake just going kaboom on his Alchemist pass, you know what I'm saying? It just got to the point where it's like, wow, is it me? Is it the manager? I should be making, because these are your comrades now. So they're, yo, Trey, come look at the new Ferrari I bought. You know what I'm saying?
Like, yeah,
like, oh, Baby just gave me this. What did Baby give Drake? I think he gave him if it wasn't a Maserati, it was something like that. Yeah. So Trey was never a car person. He had money, but he bought a big house in Virginia and took care of his mom and grand.
Yeah,
so
he's a good old boy.
He's a good old boy. He didn't really spend money like that, and but at the same time, I think he got to the point where he felt like if I wanted one, I should be able to do it without having to think about it.
Right.
And I think that
you just want that security to know that you can do it.
Yeah, and I think that started, and I kept telling him, wait, trust me, this third album is where it's going to happen and the way it's going to set you up. And I think that it just got to a point where he was tired. I knew it was coming, and people was coming in his ear because when he cut his braids, it's like, oh, here's a guy that can sell something now, and women, and he's grown. He pulled his pants up. So I think the vultures came.
Oh, he looks less offensive now.
Right, and I think we fell into that, and I think people got in his ear and in between, and then it just spiraled out of control, and my contract was up. So it's just I learned a lot in that, from accountants. We had the same accountant. I'll never do that again. Never do that. Because then the problem is that, the accountant, people get at him like, oh, well, if you give us your client, if you can get Trey from Delonte, then I'll give you Rihanna. Right. So then you become, like, what's going on? You know what I'm saying? Or, you know, the artist's gonna spend the money, they need to spend the money, but you're getting commission from them, and then you're saving your money because you're basically just chilling because you're, you know, more mature. And then they be like, well, how come he got more money in the bank than you? You know what I mean? But it isn't that he did nothing illegal. It's just the fact that he's not spending his money.
He's not being flashy.
He's not being flashy. He's just kind of keeping low or whatever, you know, not taking care of everybody, whatever. So I think
being an adult.
yeah. And it's life. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, yeah, if we were 20 something with millions of dollars, I know I would squander the hell out of it in a heartbeat.
Exactly.
I'd
So
probably be dead in Vegas somewhere, most likely.
yeah, exactly. So it's no big deal. I don't even, you know, me and Trey, I mean, we sent text messages back and forth, light work. You know, I went to his 10th anniversary, and we've never really talked about it, you know. And I think for a long time, I always was looking for this conversation. It just wasn't going to happen. You know what I mean? You know, between whatever. So I think that, you know, you do what you can, and when it's over, it is what it is. And you know, God has blessed me by Atlantic saying, hey, you know, you did a great job, and you know, you did K Michelle, so come work with us. And you know, I got 4 years to do that over there, almost 4. And then when I leave there, I get to go to Empire and have more control of what I do, and you know, get to sign great artists, and you know, it's just part of the Alchemist, man. So I just try to let it go.
Okay. So wait, were you the one that convinced Trey to cut his braids off?
Yeah. I think it was a team effort, though. I mean, I just asked him myself. I said, if you trust me, just let me kind of tell you what this album's supposed to do, even from the picture. You know what I'm saying? I think he just
the
trusted
shit
me.
worked. I can tell you that much.
Yeah. The workout. I was working at LA Fitness in Camp Creek, and I told him, you know, I got this album cover idea that's like, it was like kind of taking off LL Cool J, Mama Gonna Knock You Out. And I was like, the gray, the black and white, and you'll be your chest, but you don't have a chest, so we need to go work out. So let's get it, cut you in it, and it worked. It's an iconic cover that people still love to this day, and that worked. So
Wow. Okay. So what's it like? How'd you even get over it at Empire?
So Ghazi was in A&R meetings with me, and we would just chop it up, man. And I just was unapologetic, I guess, real and transparent. So I think he appreciated me just keeping it real with, you know, the building and what I saw. And I think that he's a great guy. So I think when he knew that he needed another person to come in, I think he just felt like, you know, my loyalty and my transparency was real, and he believed in my vision. So he definitely was like, come rock with me. You know what I mean? Like, please come rock with me. So that's how it happened.
Oh, okay. So you still have an A&R position over there?
Right. Yep. I left there. Actually, I think I left Atlantic in November, and I was working for Empire in January.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. So it was like I had a little break to do some whatever and jump. Then I came
travel.
here and opened up an office by myself.
Yeah. So do you even get time to like travel and like speak out? Like how much of like what's your day to day as an A&R?
I mean, I get up about 6 in the morning. You know, meditate. Boom. I got a daughter that's 6. I get her ready, take her to school, and I'm in my office usually from 7, 8. From 7 to probably 10, 11, listen to music. I usually, you know, just listen to music, going over emails, checking out who's vibing, who's not. And then, you know, I'll usually go work out for an hour, and then I'll end up at the office at about 1 o'clock. And the only reason I get there so late is because we're actually in the Icon studio building, and the owner doesn't open the building until 12.
Damn, okay.
So upon us, this will be our first year coming up. So I just think it was like, well, if you need to be there, I was like, well, I like to be in the office by 9 or 10. But he was like, well, if you need to be there, I could be there whenever you want to. And I was like, you know what? Don't worry about it. I'll just work out of my home office. I'll come after lunch, and it's not a big deal. Like, you know, until we build up, you know, This is building. So, I mean, him and his wife, and they don't want to have everybody having keys, and they didn't know us, but they
People
knew
coming
of
in and
us.
out the building.
Right. So probably at the top of the year, we'll get keys and do what we want to do.
Okay.
So that's why my thing is that way.
Because Empire is headquartered out of San Francisco, right?
Right.
So do you have an office out there as well?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I guess really when we come here, we take over the. We just moved into a new office, but I kind of pretty much just take over the conference room.
Okay.
So I just on the phone or my laptop and my headphones or whatever. And I'm in there. But
Somebody walk in. Can I help you?
Yeah, exactly. But I think he's about to build like this big studio compound where he want A&Rs to go and stuff like that. So I think he's looking to do that soon.
Wow. Okay. So it seems like, especially from like what Atlantic's been doing recently, like signing like the Cash Me Outside girl and all that kind of stuff. There's like different types of A&Rs out there.
Right.
Which one would you say you are?
I would say gut. I'm a gut guy, gut instinct. Like I love looking at the analytics, and sometimes you could be good, but even on the analytics, I'm looking at, is this person a star? You know what I mean? And am I going to put in time to really want to develop them? Because my goal, like Ghazi told you, I brought you to Empire to sign superstars, not to just sign distribution deals or chase after those, because that's what they do all day.
Right.
My job is to find somebody and develop them. So that's why I signed to Trevor Jackson to say this is a superstar. He's more like a Chris Brown. So how do we figure it out?
Jack of all trades.
Right. How do we figure that out?
Because he was on what, American Crime?
Right, and he's the star of the new Grownish show that's about to come out on Freeland. That's the ABC network thing, whatever.
From Kenya Barris, right? The Blackish.
Right. So he's a star with her. So he's about to do that. So, we signed him, and he's a superstar. So we got him. I signed Saint Beauty.
Damn.
I signed them recently. They're on tour with Janelle Aiko. I signed Drew Hill for a 2-album deal, and we just put out this fantastic Christmas album. We're about to do their album proper, but they're getting such a huge response from the Christmas album that it's like building up this huge thing. So
Drew Hill is making a comeback.
Yeah, you'll love that album. Check it out.
All
It's
right,
called
interview's
Christmas
over.
in
I don't care
Baltimore.
anymore.
Christmas in Baltimore.
That just sounds dangerous at that point.
It's dope.
I don't think that's something you don't want to really be about.
Right. You got to listen to it. It's a dope album. It's not your typical Christmas album.
Okay.
That's what makes it so dope.
Definitely have to check that out. So what would you say is your best industry experience? Like, if you had to go through the year so far and pick one out, from Atlantic to Empire to Hampton.
I would say right now, I think Empire will be it. But I would say right now, those first that learning process of the first and second and third album with Trey was just monumental in my development. Like, I mean, just because you do everything. I mean, you're the manager, so you're involved in the songs and the producers and the video. Like, I've directed Can't Help But Wait video. So imagine, like, you're this kid from Hampton and you look up one day and you're in Toronto. Drake is sitting beside you. He wasn't in that video, Can't Help But Wait, but the only reason I was there because I met the video director who did Replacement Girl, and I was like, yo, I want to do Can't Help But Wait. So I come up with this whole treatment, and I'm sitting in a director's chair, next to Drake, who's nobody at the time, and I'm directing this video, and this song goes #1. Wow. So that was just a dope time of not taking no for an answer and figuring out how to get to the yes, no matter what we had to do. And I think that was one of my best. Right now, I would say that would be one of my best moments. So, yeah, I think Empire is going to be the next one, absolutely, because at Atlantic, I kind of had my hands tied because you got like people you got to check in with and egos and all this stuff and how they want to move. And I love Atlantic. I think that it could work, but it was like coming from a manager, I fought the dragon, and then I'm part of the dragon, and then I'm like, okay, am I the wings, the mouth, or I'm coming out the ass? Am I the ass of the dragon? So it's just weird because you just used to doing what you want to do. So at Empire, it's open, but the reason it works for me is because I was a manager and I've been used to having all this responsibility of managing all type of of dealing with the music to the whatever. So for instance, I can go from at Empire, in Atlantic, you do the album, you turn it in, marketing does what they do. If you're an A&R, you kind of lean on radio to make sure they do what they're supposed to do with your joint because that's your bonus and your artist. But at Empire, it's like I did Drew Hill album. I'm involved in the album cover, talking to the graphics designer. After, like, I'm going to Baltimore next week for them to shoot a huge video for the single that's doing well. I'm involved in what they're gonna look like, to the marketing and where the ads and da-da-da. So it's a lot, but because I was a manager, it's easy for me to kind of go through these different hats real quick. You know what I mean? Yeah. So yeah, like that Saint Beauty, I don't have to do that as much because Wonderland team is absolutely wonderful. They're very organized and very clear their brand. So that's actually a really great deal for me to kind of learn some stuff from them, actually, from the way they do things.
Wow. So how does like an A&R even get paid? Is it like salary? Because you mentioned salary. A bonus and
contracts,
all that.
Contracts. You negotiate your deal. And you get a contract and you roll out. I mean, you know what I mean? And it could be do what you want it to be, a 1-year deal, 2-year deal, 3-year deal. There's conditions. If you get let go, they got to pay you out this. If not, it depends on, it's all on what you negotiate.
Okay. So you could probably negotiate getting like a piece of an artist, like album sales and all that.
Yeah,
or-
yeah, that's all in the deal. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So with social media and the way that I guess people release their music out now, do you think A&Ring has deflated in what it used to be? Like, I mean, you still have like big A&Rs like you, like Lenny S, and people like that, but you also have like a plethora of like SoundCloud rappers and people like on Instagram.
You gotta kind of do both. Like I'm on Instagram. I mean, I'm on Instagram and see people. People hit me all the time. I go on SoundCloud and look. It can get kind of monotonous and boring at times. So I'm just old school. Like I do look at it, and I found Fiji McIntosh, who's one of our #1 priorities. He's like, I guess in the lane of a Trippie Redd or a Little Uzi Vert. And I found him because I saw somebody else I wanted to sign that I couldn't sign that said, check out my man. And it was just meant for me to see that day. So after I signed him, everybody else tried to sign him. I'd already signed him to a 3-album deal. So, I mean, I just saw it I saw a clip of a video that this other guy shared. And I was like, oh, wow, he's a star. Like, what's going on? And DM'd him and stayed in his DMs until his mom called me back. And that's how that happened. You know what I mean?
You had to pass through moms. Okay.
Yeah.
So, you mentioned you could have signed Drake as a manager. Is there anybody that you could have tried and signed as an A&R that slipped through?
No.
Yeah?
No.
Okay.
No, if I want you know who I did try to sign?
Who?
I tried to sign Joe Gifted when he had that song, The Water. And I think they're dope. They're cool people. I thought it was great for me to sign them because I told him that you got a great song, but you need to be developed.
More.
And I don't want you to get this single and blow up and it just go away. I think if you come with me, I'm going to really work to kind of make sure that you're ready all the way around. I think you just needed more development. Like I said, you can catch that song early and not be ready, and then, so, I mean, I'm not saying it's over. I mean, he just put out a project and it's pretty dope. I mean, we'll see what happens, but I think that I really wanted him for the benefit for him, you know, and I think that they took Warner Brothers because they was giving out a bag and at the time during that period, and I think that's what it was. So
You were trying to invest in the artist, not the song that
yeah, and it's hard to convince. I mean, they're cool people. I love them, and we all learned. I think it's hard to convince somebody sometimes. They like, yo, come with me. I guess I know how coaches feel like basketball and football. Like, I can't give you what you probably want as the #1 pick, but trust me, if you stay here and if you don't get injured for a year, what you gonna learn? It's like going to play for the Patriots. No one goes to the Patriots and get top dollar except really Tom Brady.
Right.
Everybody kind of take a pay cut because they're going to learn the system, they're going to learn a whole bunch of stuff, and they're going to probably get a ring.
Right, and they're going to eat for a while.
Exactly.
A lot longer than probably other places.
So I think that's what it is, and it's longevity in that. So
Absolutely. So you ever gotten an artist signed, got the album out, album releases out, it tanks?
I don't know. Not an official album, no.
Not an official? Oh, okay. All right. That's pretty good. So
Mixtapes.
Mixtapes? Yeah, does it really count?
No, it's a testing ground, but
So how do you cultivate an artist? I would say, other than like just putting them in the studio, like for like shows and things like that.
I look at it like I just try to look inside them and make them a better version of themselves. And it's time consuming because first I got to become a fan. And then as a fan, I got to figure out what I want to see from this artist and build the artist trust. And I'm trying to get them to tell their real story, their real truth. And then I'm trying to figure out how to put it in an audible form that's going to sell and not be too offensive and stuff. Sometimes it could be stressful for the artist because you push them and they don't get it. But I feel like it's like if I had to do it in a vision, it's like I'm sitting there and it's like I'm looking at the artist and I'm painting, right? I'm doing a portrait like the Mona Lisa. But when I turn the painting around or whatever, the artist goes, wow, that's not me. It looks nothing like me. I'll be like, I didn't paint this. You did. Where did you think I was sitting here with brushes? You actually was doing it, and I was just watching it from the other side. I just turned the painting around.
Right.
That
should be more of a mirror.
Right, like a mirror. Right. But it's like I just want to, I say painting because it's like it's coming together versus it just being straight a mirror reflection.
Right.
But it is a mirror. And sometimes when you turn that painting around, people don't like what they see inside.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
especially artists. 'Cause let's face it, most of them, pretty much all of them are sensitive. Very
right. And it's their life and they're putting it out there. So it's weird. Like, I don't think I even got. I mean, I was not sensitive to it. I don't think until recently, like even me in my personal life, and wanting to be married or dealing with wives, and before you could do that, like I had to take like this last holiday to sit back and look at myself, and you don't want to deal with yourself sometimes. Like you be like, whoa, like I'm sitting here on the couch and I'm seeing myself on the other side of the couch, and you gotta own up to what you've done to women or what you didn't offer women, or you only gave them half. So it's like you dealing with yourself. So it's like in some poetic way, is like I was kind of making my album.
Right. You're seeking your own redemption.
Seeking my own redemption, right. And it was just like, what the? Like,
damn, that's deep. I need to write that. I'm going to have to note to self, copyright that. But, so when you do find an artist and you're trying to cultivate them in the studio, do you think it's better to have that artist and then find like a sole producer so that they can work and build like a better relationship, or would you rather try and get them with like, you need to go with the Pharrells, you need to holler at Timbaland right now because he ain't been working in a couple years?
I don't. That theory's over now because people get so many beats from online and people send it. It's like whatever. Now this is the down part. I think that when artists benefit from one producer, you could tell that Future benefited from Metro Boomin concentrating on him.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or 21 Savage benefited from Metro Boomin kind of being his boy and being around and focusing on him. I think that when you get that one sound, that's the idea that you want.
Right.
You know what I mean? If they're good and can handle that pressure. Even if they're helping to select other records outside of their own, that's sonically, like I think Mike Will has proven him as one unit, can da. So I think that's the ultimate goal, and I think, if you could find that, that's gold. You know what I mean? I think that's the best way to go, but that doesn't mean you can't put together a killer album with piece and stuff together either. But I'm a fan of one main guy that gets the whole vision and sticking with that guy and just adding pieces around it.
Like a no ID type of person. So wait, let me ask you, who's your top 5 producers then?
Ooh, wow. That's a good question, bro. Man, I don't even know if I can answer that. I mean,
you're gonna piss somebody. You're gonna get a text message.
Yeah, I'm gonna forego that question because I don't know if I want to answer that if that's not being disrespectful.
Okay. All right, let me try an alternate question then. What's your favorite era of like the hip hop and R&B genre?
Man.
Can you answer that one either?
Yeah, I can. Okay. Everybody scream 90s. I scream 80s.
Really? Like the Rakim, Big Daddy Kane?
Yeah. Rakim, Big Daddy Kane. I'm talking Kid and Play, Salt and Pepper.
Yeah. NWA.
NWA, BDP.
Beastie Boys,
X-Clan,
Public Enemy.
I just think hip hop was just more well balanced. I think you had gangsters and you had Too Short and you had everybody was in their zone. You had Digital Underground. I think was late 80s going to 90s. I mean, it was just more well balanced hip hop. It was just like
it was more fun too,
right?
Because once it got to the 90s and all the drug dealers got in there, got a little bit more dangerous.
I distinctly remember. One day, Tribe Called Quest was like the shit. Tribe 2, you got to add in the 80s. It was like, Tribe Called Quest was the shit, like probably 90, 89, 90, whatever. And I remember literally, it was like I went to sleep, woke up one day, and I think Snoop blew up with the Chronic, and it was like everything went to blunts and bitches ain't shit but hoes and tricks. It literally went from dancing, like literally I saw, I think this was like my senior year or junior year in high school, about to go to college, but I literally saw people with funny haircuts dancing in a party one day, and then literally like the next week it was like I'm hard.
Timbs and hoodies and
right.
all that.
I'm like, when did this happen? Like it literally, like, you still had brothers stuck with haircuts. Like it was like, nah, that's not cool. I remember my own boy, like I have a video I was performing, I was still kind of in that mode, and he was kind of had his hat on, and he was like really in the EPMD, which I think was kind of the predecessor with that, and he was just like, nah, I'm just hard, yo, and I was like, but I look like a dancer. Like, yeah, it was like, I just saw it stop, bam. It was like, it was the Chronic, and then it was Redman with the first album. And it was like over. It was like no more. You can't dance at the club and you can't do routines at the house party. Nah, it was a whole nother level.
So what would you say is your most difficult industry experience or situation?
I think the breakup with Trey. I think we operated like family. He lived in my house on Camp Creek for 2 or 3 years making an album, and then literally he left my house and left like without. It was kind of crazy, but I think what happened is that you learn. Kings are made to the alchemists again. Like I think kings are made to withstand stuff, and I think that was hard because when you go through something, if you view it as betrayal, and then it's like you got something going on between you and that person, but then you get to see everybody else kind of choose sides, and then you see people
In
that
the
you.
house?
Yeah, well, they leave in the house or they left, but you get to see people choose sides, and you get to see people that you literally help from your heart and put them on, and you see them basically turn their back on you because they want to go where they think the food train is going at the time, and they made those decisions. So it's like you're dealing with. It's like, damn, I really should just be dealing with me and this guy's situation, but now I got to look at this person, this person,
Wait,
that person.
was this the house that like a bunch of people were staying in? I think what's her name from Lip Service, Gigi McGuire and all that.
Yep.
Wow.
So it was kind of it was that was the most difficult part. It took years to get over that because you got to just look at different people differently and make you view life so differently. And I think the way I got over that after time is, across time, I think you just really know what people are capable of. So I don't do nothing I don't want to do anymore. I try to keep a policy of like I'm not trying to overextend myself.
Right.
Or here's the quote that I got this week. So you definitely gonna dig this. Don't set yourself on fire to keep somebody else warm.
That's wise words. Very wise words.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, why overextend yourself for somebody that
Correct.
isn't even going to help reciprocate it back?
Right.
All right, so I got to know, from my own personal knowledge, how lit do industry parties get?
I don't know anymore. I'm not really in that mode. They used to be off the chain. I think they calmed down a lot.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So in the heyday of like...
Heyday off the chain. Heyday, I've seen Mariah Carey with no panties on dance on top of a table in Puffy's restaurant.
What?
So, I mean, like, they used to get out of hand. I mean, but I don't... Like, they may still get out of hand, but I'm not a part of that scene because I noticed that the people with the real money, like, besides Puff and them, they're not part of that scene. Like, so it's kind of like, I don't really care, but...
Where are they at? They out in like Majorca or something like that? Just chilling?
New York, LA. I mean, you got different levels. I'm sure there's crazy parties in the hills and Beverly Hills and all that stuff. I just never, I haven't been involved in those parties in years. I never really cared about that.
Okay.
So.
Except during the heyday.
Yeah, the heyday. Yeah, because you're curious.
Come
it's
on,
like,
now, you gotta give us some stories.
What's the curious? I don't really have no real story. I mean, it's curious. Like, New York was a different animal. Like, I mean, literally in the heyday in early 2000s, you're talking like Rockefeller and
Bad
all
Boy.
that, Bad Boy. I mean, like, yo, there was.
Did they fuck the game up? I feel like they really fucked the game up.
No, I don't think they did. I think they showed they could make money in it. I think that it used to be 5 parties a night. So literally,
God
you
damn.
would go to one. It used to be all free, open bar, sponsored by all these corporations because hip hop was on fire. And we would literally start at one party, and then we would all see each other. Like you'll see some people leave, they going to the next party, next party, next party, and literally you'll do that from Monday to Thursday, if you wanted to. There was a party in New York somewhere. Everybody was somewhere. It's literally like you would see everybody at this. We'd go from party to party to party. So think about how drunk, but how intoxicated we would be and shit. It was a great time. It was good, clean fun. Like I didn't see. I mean, you had people wilding out and whatever you would think of the party, but it was like no drama, wasn't no violence. We all knew each other. Like at the door, it was like crazy. Like it was a great time.
Absolutely, especially you saw Mariah Carey dancing with no panties on.
Yeah, that was that was Christmas Eve too.
Can we all just take a moment of silence for that?
Yeah, Christmas Eve, man. Nice.
So what's the groupie situation like? Cause you got Trey Songz, R&B superstar, has to be pandemonium.
You know what? It does, but I never really participated in it. I know this sound lame, like maybe I don't know, like I mean, did I get women from stuff like that? Yeah, but I don't think.
Abso-fucking-lutely.
Yeah, I just don't think I don't think I took full advantage, and that's because maybe I was 10 years older. I've been to school. I mean, I wilded out in college, so I mean, it's kind of like I was cool. Like I always wanted my women. I had certain women I had in different cities that I went into that I probably actually knew from college or some type of something. So I kind of dealt with them if it was like show me around or whatever, or let's get up and have like it was more that. Like I didn't really get involved in a groupie situation.
Gotcha. You kept it very wise.
Yeah.
I need to definitely take notes on that one. So.
Yeah. Yeah, always. I say if you got a male artist or any artist, I would say if you're going to participate in that type of stuff, make sure your room is on a different floor and never let your artist see what chick. Like, so wise man told me that and I didn't get it. And it was like, look, when when I first started off, it was a transportation driver. He was like, look, I've been doing this for a long time. Like, don't let your artists see your chicks. Don't share chicks. Like get your room on a different floor. And if you got your chick, like, if she come to the club, tell her don't come nowhere near y'all. VIP, nothing. Don't even let your artist see her. Tell her to be, at the room. You could leave her the key, let her go, be on a different floor. Don't never let your artist see it. He said, because at some point, what's his is his and what yours is his.
Keep it separate but equal.
Keep it separate. Don't even let them see it. Just handle your business and then go do what you got to do and then da-da-da. So, that was wise words. So any new manager, I would tell them that.
Absolutely. You ain't got to tell me twice. So... with all this scandal that's actually hitting entertainment, mainly Hollywood now, politics, journalism, and all that, do you think at a certain point, actually, with Russell stepping down recently, do you think it's going to sweep over the music industry as well?
I mean, goddamn. I mean, sorry to cuss like that's unapologetic, right? I just feel like...
Oh, yeah, please, cuss all the fuck you want.
Oh, okay, cool. I just think, I don't know. It could be, but this like this, man. The music industry and the film industry has a lot of sleaze bags, and it has for a lot of years. So it's like, are we gonna take out the whole industry now?
It looked like it.
Yeah, I mean, LA went down. Harvey, now Russell. I mean, if that's the case, they're gonna take down the whole industry. Like, I mean, it's just part of what has happened. I mean, I've never done nothing like that because I haven't been in a position, I feel, too. But I feel like...
You haven't been Me Too, though, right?
What?
You haven't been Me Too, though, right?
What's Me Too?
Me Too is when this first started and people was on, like, Facebook and all that saying, like, #MeToo.
No.
Like okay, cool.
No. I don't even know what that is, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, you were never propositioned by an agent or an exec or anything like that.
No.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, no victims here.
No victims here.
Yeah, on the exec side, I could definitely see it. I don't know about artists though, because I mean they kind of go out of their way to let you know what they're doing.
Yeah, they do, but it is what it is. But I'm trying to think. Oh, that's it. Any other questions?
One more.
Okay.
Who's your favorite CEO?
Wow.
You got to answer this one because you didn't answer the other one.
Right. Oh man. I enjoyed working with Julie Greenwald.
Okay.
I think that she was strong as a man and knew when to take her woman's side and no, but I felt like she really cared about the artist still after all this time. And I think she understood who I was, and I think I understood who she was, and I think she understood how to developing an artist and what I do was very important. So I think part of leaving Atlantic was kind of weird for me because I think we were at the place where me and her was going to rock and roll. Now, granted, you can't get too comfortable. It is what it is. But I felt like I learned a lot from her, and she was always on top of it. So it's weird being around so many CEOs, but I think she's the one who get it. I think she's the main reason why Atlantic is still thriving. Like, I think she cares about she comes from Def Jam and the culture. I think she's matured, obviously, as a woman and a parent, and care about the artist and trying to figure it out and what's organic and what's not. Like, I think Julie Greenwald is probably who I learned from the most, and how to be a leader and still be cool and still be hard,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, sometimes women get it done better.
Yeah.
Well, Delonte, I'd like to thank you personally for coming out and taking the time and driving hella far just to come interview with me.
My pleasure, man.
Where can the people find you at?
Man, you can find me on Twitter. I'm at Delonte. How lucky was that? Instagram, I'm at Butter Murphy, ButtaMurphy. And I think that's the main thing. I say Instagram and Twitter, and you're probably not gonna get me on Facebook, but that's just my name. So yeah.
Sounds perfect. This has been Unapologetically Candid, and we are Unapologetically Candid, and we are Unapologetically Candid, and we are Unapologetically Candid, and we are